Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media, bringing you another, book review of sorts. But before I begin today, I just want to address something that someone said to me last week. They were asking me why I don't review anything that I don't like, or why none of my reviews are ever negative, why they're always positive. And that's kind of a fair point. I know that a lot of reviews online, movie reviews, video game reviews, and things like that, people like to focus on the negative, ranting and raving about what they hate and so on and so forth. But I kind of like to go the Kevin Smith direction. When Kevin Smith reviews his films, people often ask him, why don't you review anything negative? Why are you such a fanboy? And he basically said, what's the point of talking about things that I hate? Why not just talk about things that I like? So I kind of like that idea. I think there's too much negativity out there. You see these internet, YouTube reviewers screaming and what the fuck is the fucking blah, 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 which, you know, it's just pointless to me. So that's why I just review books I like. I mean, the whole point of this series is called Read a Fucking Book, People. It's not called Don't Read the Fucking Book, People. But with that said, one-time offer for those of you out there. I have this kind of thing where if I pick up a book and start reading it from page one, I have to finish it. I can't just set it aside and go find something else. It's this little quirk of mine. I've only done it to one book in my entire life, and that was Twilight. So, here's the deal. This channel reaches 100 subscribers. I will read and review Twilight. One-time offer, there it is. Tell your friends, hey, I want to see this fuckwit review Twilight, the book that just completely destroyed the vampire genre and made vampire romance a young adult novel cliche. Get the subscribers, get me to 100 subscribers, I'll review Twilight. Simple as that. But today I am not talking about Twilight, thank fucking God. Today I'm talking about Venom in Her Veins by Tim Pratt, a Dungeons & Dragons novel released by Wizards of the Coast. Now, I was just bitching about Wizards of the Coast a few videos ago, but I will explain in more detail why I read this and why I am reading this. So without any preamble or anything like that, here is a new episode of... Okay, so the basic plot of Venom in Her Veins is really quite a simple one. A young woman who has been raised by a merchant family, some might argue a corrupt merchant family, in the city of Delsamer, discovers that she is not quite human, but she is a Yuan-Tai pureblood, and she tries to go and find her family. Basic plot, basic overview. But there's a lot more to it than that in this book, and that's why I really, really enjoyed this one. First of all, this book is set after the Spell Plague. It was written at a time when 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons had come out, which a lot of people have argued is the worst edition of Dungeons & Dragons. I actually thought it was pretty good, but I never got a chance to play it because it was more miniatures based than actual kind of role-playing, so to speak. But you have all the kind of tropes here that 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons introduced. You have Dragonborn, which was a new race in 4th edition. You have Shaman, which was a new class in 4th edition. You have Scion, which was also a new class in 4th edition. You have the Eldrin. You have the Feywild, which was kind of like where the fairies and elves and crap like that kind of exist. Which they're actually bringing back for 5th edition with a new source book that's due out in a couple of months. So you have all of these things that if you were a fan of 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons, or if you followed the game at all, you will immediately recognize, which is cool. I like it when they throw that kind of stuff in their books. You have a main character who isn't human, who is part of a race that really doesn't get much love. Now, to explain the Yuan-Tai to those of you who don't really follow Dungeons and Dragons, I'm going to pull out the trusty 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons Monster Manual. I have even marked the page because someone commented last time I couldn't find a picture of a big fucking sword. That is a Yuan-Tai right there, a snake person. That is a Yuan-Tai Malison, a kind of hybrid human with a snake head. But the main character, Zaltis, is a Yuan-Tai pureblood. She looks almost like a human, although she did have a patch of scales on her back. Yuan-Tai are, in the grand scheme of things, considered an evil race. They worship snake gods, gods of poison and deception and things like that. So when Zaltis was a child, her tribe were going to sacrifice her, but there was an attack and most of the tribe get taken into the Underdark, which is the land beneath the surface where all kinds of evil things live. We have dark elves, the Drow. We have Kuatoa. We have mind flayers. We have beholders. We have all manner of nasty creatures. We also have the villains of this story, the Dero. The Dero are a race that are not really utilized all that much in Dungeons and Dragons literature. So it was really good to see them get a spotlight in this book. Dero, I have Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes marked again because, like someone said, couldn't find a fucking sword. Dero are crazy looking, almost like a cross between gnomes and dwarves, but they're touched by madness. Everything about them, they have some kind of psychosis. Every one of them has a different sort of psychosis, and they worship aberrations and all things that are kind of insane. So it was good to see them get some love. So Zaltis is discovered by this trading caravan who have come into this jungle in order to harvest flowers that they will then take back to the city where their family, their merchant family is, and they make narcotics from these flowers and sell them. Now, another good point about this book is the setting. While most of it does take place in the Underdark, a lot of it does take place in a jungle, but they do reference the city of Delzimar. Now, got my big map. Here is the Sword Coast. Here is where 99.9% of the new Dungeons & Dragons books is where they take place. Okay, let's flip it over. Ooh, look at all this. Where is Delzimar? Delzimar is right down here, as far away from the Sword Coast as you could possibly get. And that was pretty fucking awesome to me. I really enjoyed that. So Zaltis, at the age of 17, becomes aware of her heritage, discovers that her tribe, so to speak, was not killed as her adoptive mother had previously told her, but that they had been taken underground and they might still be alive. So, her and her cousin, a side character called Julian, who is a 15-year-old who's in love with his cousin, but she's adopted, so that's somehow okay. Don't ask me, it was the stupidest part of the book, but whatever. They go into the Underdark, and ultimately her adoptive mother and the Dragonborn security guard, captain of the caravan's guard, whatever, have to go in after them, and ultimately a whole lot of kind of twisted revelations are revealed, and the book does not end on a high note at all. It was a far cry better than some of the more recent Dungeons & Dragons books that have come out. Tim Pratt, fantastic author. I first read his work in the Pathfinder Tales series, which if you haven't ever read any Pathfinder Tales, They are books set in the Pathfinder world of Galorian. Each one kind of set in a different country with new characters. Sometimes you get like sequels to the previous stories, but they are really, really well-written, well-rounded, fantastic fantasy stories. I thought this was just going to be a generic dungeon crawl. They go in the Underdark, woefully unequipped, even though they managed to make sure the main character Zaltus has all kinds of wicked cool armor and weapons and shit like that before they go into the Underdark. But it didn't turn out that way. It wasn't a generic dungeon crawl. It was really a self-contained kind of, they didn't really explore a large area of the Underdark, which I was really thankful for, because the Underdark is basically hundreds of thousands of miles of caves and mazes and labyrinths and all this kind of stuff. But to keep it self-contained so it was easy to follow, you could really picture, like you could almost draw the map out on a piece of paper if you were following along. It was very, very well done. This is a much older book, but for those of you that want some good fantasy and a good kind of jumping off point, I mean, I recommend the really old Forgotten Realms novels, but this one just, it had such a unique character, such a unique kind of story along the way, and a really, I guess you could say it was kind of a downbeat ending, but I appreciated that because it wasn't, yay, the heroes win, the bad guys lose. It was very ambiguous. So, yeah, highly recommend checking out Venom in Her Veins by Tim Pratt. Also, they say never judge a book by its cover. Look at that cover. That's fucking awesome. That is an awesome fucking cover. So, yes, judge this book by its cover. Awesome cover, awesome book. Now, we're going to leave it there. I'll try and have another video up fairly soon. I'm pretty much on vacation teaching summer classes and whatnot, but I have quite a lot more to talk about. I will be making a video about this book very soon, Headhunter by Michael Slade. There's the author. I have some more Sean Phillips, Ed Brubaker, the complete Fatale series that I want to talk about, as well as Incognito. Yes, I'm an Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips fanboy, but if you haven't guessed that already, you're a fucking idiot. So, there you go. Enjoy your weekend. Go out there and, what is it I like to say? Read a fucking book, people.